Hello, everybody. Welcome to Love and Money Live. We are so glad you're here today, spending some time with us. Wouldn't you say, honey?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Welcome back. Happy to have you.
Yes, we're recording live from Colorado Springs, Colorado. So do a shout out. Where are y'all from? We love to hear where our listeners and followers are.
We have someone that frequents us from Hawaii and Alaska.
Yes.
So, how could you be more different? One of you is always warm, and then one of you is cold 10 months out of the year. The other two, you're fine. But wow, thanks.
Thanks. We are so glad. We love to see thumbs up, hearts across the screen. So join us and gather in on the conversation today. We are really excited. Let me tell you a little bit about how this subject came out. I love listening to talk radio. Do you like listening to talk radio? There's a lot of good talk radio out there.
Maybe ESPN talk radio occasionally. I like Brian Kilmeade's show too. I think Brian is hilarious.
Yeah.
So
Brian is good.
Huge shout out to Brian.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Yay, Brian Kilmeade. Okay. So what happened was I was listening to the speaker and this author, and she was talking about negative self-talk. And it really got me thinking. I was like, do I do negative self-talk? I'm not a huge negative self-talker, but I happen to be married to one. Oh yeah, negative self-talk.
I think it has something, if I'm going to blame it on a few things. Let's just start with blaming.
Okay.
It's what we always tell our kids not to deflect, but they're not here, so I'm going to deflect.
Okay.
First of all, I think security seekers, we're kind of worriers.
Well, that's one of our money personalities.
One of our money personalities is security seekers. So I think most security seekers like myself just tend to worry about things a little bit more, especially when it comes to money.
That's right.
Because it messes with our long-term plans and everything else. Yes. So I'm of the opinion that if you're a fellow security seeker, you probably do a pretty good job of negative, critical self-talk.
That's right. And then you have people who are married to them, like me. Okay. So lucky me. But I love you, honey.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. So now here's the deal. I got thinking as I was listening to that about negative self-money talk. Mm-hmm. And how many people out there, we'll be speaking to a large group and people come up afterwards and talk to us and stuff, and the lady will be, I'm so bad with money. I can't do money. I don't have a financial degree. I don't know anything about money. I'm a loser when it comes to money. I've made so many past money mistakes. I'm never going to be able to get, on a positive track. That is negative self-money talk. Are you married to a person who's doing that? Do you listen to that all the time? Do you feel kind of isolated sometimes, like you have to take care of all the money stuff because you're married to a negative self-money talker? Mm-hmm. And they are always saying, we're never going to get ahead. We're never going to, be able to get out of debt. We're never going to be able to do this. You're always going to spend way too much money. Just all this negative self-money talk inside of their brains. Is that ever going to stop?
Right. So you can have not only you putting all this pressure on yourself that I'm not good enough, we're not going to make enough money, but then you can also, out of your negative self-talk, project that on someone else and basically belittle the person that you love, saying, you're not getting us out of debt quick enough, you're not working hard enough, you need to get a better job. I mean, all these things that we hear couples say all the time, it's crazy. And it's just another form of the negative self-money talk, which we want to help you avoid.
Yes. So we did a little bit of research on this, and there's a really good article in Psychology Today, and it's 4 ways to stop beating yourself up. But there's so much good stuff in here that we can actually relate to negative self-money talk as well. And first of all, what we want to do is to really define what negative self-money talk is, what we've been doing. But here's
this was an amazing,
great definition.
Example.
If you are like most people, you know your inner critic all too well. It is the voice in your head that judges you, doubts you, belittles you, and constantly tells you that you're not good enough. It says negative, hurtful things to you, things that you would never even dream of saying to someone else, like, I'm such an idiot, I'm such a phony, I never do anything right, I'll never succeed. So let's take that definition and let's put it on negative self-money talk. Did your parents shame you when it comes to money? Every dollar that you get, burns a hole in your pocket. I mean, did things like that get told to you when you were younger, and so it makes you feel really negative and self-conscious about money now? Do you constantly put yourself down and just say, I'm an idiot when it comes to money. I'm stupid when it comes to money. People don't really understand how much debt I have. They think I'm such a phony because I act like I have money and I really don't. Things like that. If you do that, just stop doing it and stop spending so much money. But at any rate, just really, it's so real. This negative self-money talk is so real.
And I think it's important to also recognize that those inner voices, the inner critic, it's very harmful. I think a lot of times we say, well, no one said it to me, it's just in my brain, whatever. But you have to remember, the more and more negative reinforcement that you put in is going to take away from your ability to be more prosperous. You know, one of the things that Beth and I talk about is prosperous couples have to work at it. Yeah. And prosperous couples kind of get into its snowball effect, where once you start talking, once you kind of quiet that inner critic, once you start doing positive money talk, it will just build on itself. Suddenly you have more confidence. You're asking better questions. You're moving forward faster. And so you have to remember that inner voice, it is a very harmful thing. And I catch mine all the time. And so I know one thing I'm working on is how do you cut that out? How do you start replacing that? So it kind of takes us to point number 2. So point number 1 was the definition of what is negative self-talk, which Beth just gave.
Yes, and the inner critic is harmful.
Right.
It's not harmless, it is harmful.
Yeah.
And it's really, really important to understand and to watch yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
So you have to ask yourself, point number 2 is basically, how do you start watching for it? Like, if you don't know it's there, then how do you correct it?
Yes.
And so
we have this really great, this again is from this article, but
yeah.
we just love it. And, you know, we had said, you know, really watch for it, see, but this is a great way to see. If you suspect yourself as a negative self-money talker, then do this. A good exercise is to try for 1 week is to simply keep an inner critic log. Either in a small notebook, or you could even do it in your phone, like open up a note in there and just call it your inner critic log, or IC log, you could say. And every time you notice yourself being self-critical, or you have negative self-money talk going on, jot 1 or 2 words down that just remind you about what it is. You know, like, I said that I'm stupid when it comes to money, or whatever, or I was in the store and I was like, oh, I can't figure out good prices, or I'm a loser when it comes to coupons, or whatever your situation is. All of that negative talk, just write it down.
Yeah, and I would say not only the negative talk with your money, but also just do your negative talk in general. Yeah. And where you are when you're experiencing these thoughts. You know, is it maybe a self-conscious issue when you're in the gym? I know I work out with these guys that are like gigantic, and these little 14-inch arms here, they don't stack up. But I do a little negative every once in a while. I do. I'll be like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I get there? But it's because I'm old. But anyways, but notice where you are with these negative self-talk moments too. When you come across a tough money situation, you have to look at it and go, in the tough money situations, is that when you start doing all this negative self-talk? So by kind of journaling and writing it down, like when we read this article, like I'm doing it for a week.
Yep.
I'm just gonna see where I do negative self-talk. And I found if I go to the gym at like 8 o'clock, no one's there. Negative self-talk, check, taken care of. So maybe making some adjustments with that as well. Yeah. But really, I love this journal idea, and I love reflecting and saying, okay, where am I? So I'm in the grocery store and I'm stressing out because I don't have a list and the negative self-talk. Well, next time I'm going to have a list, and we're going to watch that negative self-talk go away. And so I just love point number 2 about really trying this exercise for the next week. I'm actually going to do it this week, and when we talk next week, I'll let you know how I did.
There you go. Sounds great. All right, now our third point is fill the negative with positive. There's no way for you to be prosperous if you're constantly telling yourself you're a loser with money. I mean, it's just never going to happen. If you're starting a business and you're like, I'm a loser, I can't start a business. Well, how are you going to be able to start a business and be prosperous? We want you all to be prosperous in your relationships and prosperous with your money. That's why it's Love and Money Live. We want you to have that. But it starts with you believing in yourself, making it happen. We have a slogan, make it happen. It's just a positive, make it happen. You can do it. But you've got to fill that negative with positive. So here's a couple tips to be able to do that. First of all, talking back to your inner critic is an important part of taking away its power. Do you realize how this negative talk is having power over you? If you don't realize the power that it has, you won't take those steps to fill it with positive.
So when you're paying your bills this month and you see that $15,000 in credit card debt, and you say, I am never going to get out of debt, what kind of power did you just give that credit card statement? As compared to, we paid an extra $200 this month. At least we're making some progress. We are going to own this debt issue.
Right.
That's taking the power and putting it in you instead of giving that credit card statement the power, that piece of plastic. Thank you.
I like that.
So, anyways, but that's how you start taking the power back and putting in those positive money talks.
Simply telling the critic you don't want to hear what it has to say begins to give you a sense of choice in the matter. So you can talk back to that negative talk inside of you and say, you know what? I'm not going to listen to you anymore. You don't have power over me. And I'm not going to have you controlling my life. When you hear the inner critic start to speak, tell it to go away. Tell it you refuse to listen. Tell it that you know it's a liar. It is a liar. It does not have to be this way. And so taking that power away, talking to that inner self-critic and saying, stop. Super important. All right, so now replace that critic with that positive self-talk. The best way to defeat the critic is to have an even stronger ally on your side. You need to grow your inner critic and have it act like your own best friend. Your best friend, Scott's my best friend, is not going to tell me that I'm a loser and that I don't get it and that I'm not. Have that inner critic, inner person be your best friend instead of your biggest critic. Say, you know what? Love yourself and have that self-talk. Love you as well, kind of just like a best friend does.
Absolutely. You know, it's so interesting when you think about we bully ourselves all the time.
We do.
And we put ourselves down all the time. But what if you did have that inner best friend that stuck up and just said, you know what, shut up, dude, and back off. Yeah. I think that's a lot of this when you're starting to feel insecure about money with the negative talk. When you just start feeling insecure about yourself. Like I said, I think as security seekers are constantly beating ourselves up all the time because who knows when we ever really reach that level of security that we want. Yeah. So I think really understanding that, hey, you can shut that critic down, but you know what? It's going to take practice. Like I said, this week, I'm really going to start diving in and looking at myself with that negative inner self-talk. But, you know, the reality is this is probably a process for me. It's probably a process for a lot of us. But we're excited that we're with you on this journey, and you're going to switch things around.
So if you are married to a negative self-talker and you're listening to this going, oh, gosh, that's totally my spouse, show them this Love and Money Live and say, you know what, I was listening to something today and I think that you struggle with this negative self-money talk issue and it's really impacting our ability to become prosperous as a couple. And so, you know, pointing that out, sometimes people don't even know it, doing it in a loving way. Don't do it when you're in a heated argument.
Don't attack them.
Don't attack them because we want love to grow inside of your relationship. Or if you're the person, fess up, own up to it, and make yourself that log and replace that negative with positive. And I'm going to leave you with this one sentence that I saw in this great article, Marriage Communication, 3 Common Mistakes and How to Fix Them. It says, it's amazing how the energy between spouses can change so much with just a few changes. So if you want the energy within your relationship to be positive, make this change and you will be amazed at the changes that you will see inside of your relationship.
Absolutely. So No negative self-talk.
That's right.
So the 3 points. What is negative self-talk? Now you know. And the negative self-talkers out there, we're putting it all together right now. Watch for it. So I'm actually going to journal for a week, and I'll report back next week and fill the negative self-talk with positive, which I'm even going to work at when I'm in the gym.
Yes.
Which isn't easy. So,
absolutely.
So awesome to be with you all. Thank you for being here. Oh, did you want to add something?
I want to add one other thing. If you don't know what your 2 money personalities are, your primary and secondary, please come to our site at themoneycouple.com. As a matter of fact, we've soft launched a new website. We haven't even told the world about it yet, but come and see it. We'd love to have you. But take the money personality assessment. Identify your positive your primary and your secondary, and that will really help you understand. And if you have security seeker as one of them, then this might be really good to digest and watch again. So again, as Scott said, we're really glad to be with you. Thank you for joining us here at Love and Money Live. We'll see you next week, and as always, make it happen.